Yeah, Arrowhead Chiefs. It's your girl, Miss Nicole. Queen of Hustle, baby. Started from the bottom, now we here. My homie at the start of his career. Let's go. Try to warn him early, hear the truth. Tune in every Sunday for the juice. Arrowhead Chiefs podcast, bringing all the news. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Chris out here rapping for the crew. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You're tuned in to the Arrowhead Chief Podcast, episode 219. This is Chiefs Offseason Plan edition of the episode where we talk about everything that's going to happen in this offseason, what we feel like is going to happen, and talk about a little bit about Veach, Andy Reid, and some other things that are going on in the Chiefs Kingdom. We got my co-host, Just Mark, in the building. What's up, Mark?
So what's happening? I feel like it's only been 2 weeks since the Super Bowl. It's been quiet as usual, but hey, it's on schedule.
Yeah, man. Off season is underway. Veach and Andy Reid spoke today. We got the combine this weekend. So we'll get all the prospects that have been invited to come in and do their 40 times and all their shuttle runs and whatever quarterbacks are going to throw and all that good stuff. We'll get a better viewing on who are some guys that we possibly could be seeing coming to the Chiefs in April. But let's talk about Andy Reid and Veach. They had their press conference. They're down in Indianapolis right now to scout out talent and probably negotiate. That's where most of the deals get done in the offseason is at the combine because everybody's all in one place. All the agents, all the GMs, on any trades that want to go down. You go straight to the GM or the other team and possibly broker a deal or work out some stuff to possibly facilitate a trade of some sorts. But more so Brett Veach than Andy. I know Andy spoke on the Super Bowl. He said, pretty much that, they could have played. They picked the wrong day to play a bad game in the Super Bowl, and they could have coached better. Andy's always going to say that. But other than that, it was more so Brett Veach that had the more interesting things. I know he spoke on Travis Kelce, and he pretty much the consensus is that he's coming back for the one more season. But he said him and Andy Reid said basically that he could take his time. There is no deadline for Travis Kelce. They plan on giving him the salary that he's going to make in 2025. So I expect Travis Kelce to come back. I just think that he needed some time to get far away from the Super Bowl, get that bad taste out of his mouth. And I think he's going to come back for one more hoorah to try to get a Super Bowl on his way out of the game. What are your thoughts on the whole Travis Kelce thing?
Yeah, as expected. We've been talking about possibly one more year at the very most. I think it's pretty much spot on. It's definitely some good news, as far as they may not submit no definites, but it's always good to hear that, as far as they're being hopeful and planning, still planning with Kelce in the lineup, and I'm pretty sure they'll be ready to go. As far as, it's just we're still early in the season, we're still early in the off season, so still a lot to be done, a lot to be had. It's basically on Kelce, just to see if he's going to make that return.
Yeah, for sure. Another interesting thing that Brett Veach talked about was the offensive line. I know he said that he has confidence that I think Andy Reid actually said this, that he has confidence that Kingsley can switch over to guard. So it looks like they're going to be playing Kingsley at guard next season. They also talked about Trey Smith and that they're optimistic that they're going to work out a deal. Nate Taylor talked about it on his podcast today. I think it's called Only Weird Ones, Only Weird Games. He said that they're looking to work out a 5-year deal with Trey Smith. So it looks like Trey Smith is going to be coming back. We were all, thinking that Trey Smith was going to be gone and possibly a Bear or a New England Patriot or whatever, but It looks like that they're prioritizing Trey Smith to come back on this offensive line. So how do you feel about that? Giving him a 5-year deal. Would you do you think they should give it to him, or how do you feel?
I mean, you still get. I mean, just call it for what you see it though. It's still championship DNA. Somebody that's familiar with the system. That's one less thing you got to worry about as far as because the one thing that's important about this is just continuity. As far as with the teams itself. And just, especially with the line, it's very important. If you don't get the continuity right as far as with the offensive line, you basically got nothing. So I'm not mad about it. I mean, it's not one of those things where you're like overly mad or overly happy. It's just one of those things you get it. I mean, you have to get people, and especially with your quarterback, with your you're talking about a $500 million kind of man. You want to give him some kind of trust and like giving people that he can trust and people that he rely on, stuff like that. It's hard to bring in someone new, getting them acclimated to the system. It takes time. So that about it. I mean, it's not like he hasn't earned it too, his contract, whatever that looks like. I mean, hopefully we just get a word on this soon with it. And if and we always talk about it too, even to reiterate that though, as far as going back to Kingsley, as far as moving him to guard and everything. So they're planning both ways, which is a good thing anyway. So whether it be the absence of one or, they're able to keep them all intact and stuff like that. He's still fairly young as far as in that regard. So it speaks the language, as far as being versatile and all that whatnot. So no complaints here.
Yeah. I still think that they kind of switched off of Kingsley when it came to the tackle position, but I still think that there's time, just because they say guard, but he's only early 20s, 21 year. He's still young, so there's still opportunities for him to possibly, even if they say what, we'll wait the year and let him kick over to the right tackle and replace Jawan Taylor. I could see a possibility of that happen. So maybe that's in the plans too. As far as Trey Smith goes, I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? They're prioritizing the offensive line. They want to, like you said, they want that continuity. And we all know that the middle of the line has been our bread and butter. Joe Tooney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. Those have been the three guys in the middle to anchor that offensive line. And then you have Jawan Taylor, with his flaws and everything. But, he's actually not bad as people make him seem. I think it's more so that everybody just highlights because of the way he gets off on his stance. But a lot of tackles do what Jawan Taylor do. It's just Chris Collinsworth found it 2 years ago that I got to highlight this guy or whatever. For whatever reason, he don't like Jawan Taylor. But Lane Johnson does the same thing, and I've seen other tackles do that.
I mean, everybody. I mean, sometimes you have that one little flaw, but sometimes he has moments where he gets off the ball. He has moments where he holds, but when he doesn't, he's still performing at a high level. So
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, for sure. So, one thing they did, Brett Veach did say, is that they're looking to bring Hollywood Brown back.
I did see that.
So that is in the card. So that is in the cards to try to bring Hollywood Brown back, and it makes sense. You want that continuity. If we get Rashee Rice back, when we get Rashee Rice back, regardless if we get suspended or everything. And Brett Reese talks about this too, looking for wide receivers and stuff like that. He said they're always going to be looking for wide receivers, but they feel like they did really good in the draft with Rashee. You got Xavier Worthy. You bring Hollywood Brown back for a full year of playing football with this team and, building on that continuity with Patrick Mahomes. It's definitely going to make our offense look better. I think it's going to be a high priority to get this offense back to maybe not Tyreek Hill type and Travis Kelce in their prime type offense, but the 2022 offense.
But it was
with a little bit more flair.
It's funny you said that though, because even we can kind of have a good talk about it, as far as like where is Worthy compared to the Tyreek track, because remember, Tyreek was more so doing special team stuff. He wasn't really getting implemented as far as receiver until year 3, 4, somewhere around there.
About three.
And Worthy, he was more so, I think he was just more so getting used to the speed of the game, how things going, getting and feel familiar. And he picked up at the same rate as Rice. And we saw how Rice took off earlier in the year prior to the injury.
He was going to be at least a top I would say top 5 in yards
he
and
was on
catches.
he was on that track. He was getting the targets. He was getting everything you could ask for. I mean, obviously, and even the thing about it, even so with that, you still had the absence of Hollywood Brown at that time, so he was still making up for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think for us is that we're as fans, we want to see that connection get off. And granted, we had pieces that came in and did what they needed to do. And obviously, you got to be appreciative for D Hop, but I believe that was more so. I mean, it sucks he didn't get to win it, but I do believe though, as far as the mentorship piece of it, which really isn't discussed, I do believe that is a very significant part that we didn't get the year before that, even on those title runs. I mean, you didn't have that, and it's very important. So I think with Worthy, if he's able to get off the way he does, and Rice is going to maybe take him a couple games, coming off an injury and also suspension. And if we get Hollywood Brown back in that place, I think we're going to get that offense we've been waiting or has been missing. I mean, but obviously it starts at the line. But I think you said it before. He's looking for receivers. That's no secret. We don't just. I mean, it's clear we don't just run the ball. I mean, let's just call for what it is. But that excitement, and I think a lot of people miss that too. Realistically, to air it out, the air raid attack and stuff like that, and it's hard to get that going. I honestly believe they're going on the right track. I think they'll be just fine when it's all said and done. I mean, Hollywood Brown, them entertaining looking at is a big, and they'll find the next goofy big thing to come out of draft anyway. Some guy we never heard of, and then all of a sudden he's just taking off. It happens. That's just the way that. Like as far as when you have a GM like Veach, it's just the way he is. You understand it works.
Yeah, which back to the offensive line, I wouldn't be surprised if they do bring DJ Humphries back. I think he'll be at a cheaper. He'll be cheaper. I don't think because I think Ronnie Staley is out of our price range. I'll even say Cam Robinson. He'll probably want to go get paid, so I don't think he's going to come here and get paid. And it's going to be interesting to see if they extend Joe Thuney, especially if they're going to pay Trey Smith. Are they going to be able to get that extension, or will Joe Thuney take a pay cut? Will he ultimately take a pay cut to come back after the year that he had? You know what I'm saying? After the year that he had.
Asked for.
That's what I'm saying. And you want to reward that. So are they looking to maybe reward both of those guys? And then that's going to play into, are they picking Trey Smith, maybe Joe Thuney over Nick Bolton?
I think so.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe even the Charles Omenihu. Maybe they want to go younger on the defensive line too and get a guy in the first or second round to bring in to be the heir apparent possibly to Chris Jones. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the draft and in free agency in a couple of weeks. So another interesting thing that Brett Veach said that was more Mahomes based was he said he felt like Mahomes he was thinking too much when he was playing in the game this season, possibly seeing things in the defense that wasn't there, which was really interesting that he said that it's enlightening and it's good to hear your GM kind of, I don't want to say he was calling him out. I just think that he was just an assessment of Mahomes' year and as a totality that possibly that he does so much film study that he's seeing things that that might not even be there. So that may be something that he might that maybe Mahomes needs to like scale it down a little bit, scale it back, you know what I'm saying, and just play the game more free. Don't be so concerned with what you see be concerned with what you see pre-snap, but don't be so caught up in it to where you're like, oh, the safety is coming or the linebacker, you know what I'm saying? So, and he might see things that are not there. So that'll be interesting to see how Mahomes implements that assessment going into the 2025 season. So let's talk about the combine, man. We got the combine this weekend. It kicks off on Thursdays. I think it's offensive line on Thursdays. No, offensive line's on Sunday. I think it's linebackers. I think it's linebackers on Thursday. I know running backs, receivers, and I think defensive linemen are Saturday.
I'm pulling it up right now. What the? Come on, man. All right, let's see here. I don't care about Sunday. All right, so you have all the measurements and all that fun stuff. On the field workout is, let's see, Thursday. Defensive line, linebackers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
Yep. And DBs and tight ends are Friday.
Okay. And then everybody
Running
else.
backs, quarterbacks, all that stuff, it will be on Saturday.
Okay, that's what's up.
Oh, and then O-line. The O-line is actually on Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'll be tuned in probably most likely for all of them. See who. Well, ain't nobody breaking Worthy's record. Forget that. We're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep that as a Chiefs record. We're gonna just hold it for what it is.
We'll see. There's some receivers that maybe a Tez Johnson from Oregon, maybe Isaiah Bond, who played in Texas. So he was known as a speed guy. We'll see. There might be some guy from a smaller college that can run that speed. But I'm with you. I think that the records remains. Maybe somebody ties them, but there's a couple guys that can run that are known for being speed guys. So we'll see. But
I think overall, though, as far as with the schedule wise, though, I'll definitely be in tune to. I don't think there's one position where I'm not going to be paying attention to close to, because as far as the needs and the depth and whatnot, obviously with the question, the linebackers, we're talking about the question marks with Nick Bolton. Tight ends, we could be talking about getting a replacement for Kelsey, what that looks like. That could be a possibility. DBs, you can never have enough DBs in the room. That's just my opinion.
Of course. I think that's a need too.
Mm-hmm. But Saturday will be the interesting one too. I think that will be very interesting, because it's like Pacheco, you don't want to slight him too much. Running backs do have an off year. I get it. We're talking about injury. We're talking about a variety of different things that happen. The chemistry, maybe it was a line. Oh, well, actually, I can't even say it. Or maybe it's a line. It was just you definitely had to make a line adjustment. Bottom line, you pull your interior line, have them playing on the outside. That does make a significant difference.
It does.
That will be something we're going to be looking at.
The interesting thing with Isaiah Pacheco is that it is a contract season, and regardless if he's a Kansas City Chief or if he's somewhere else, he's going to be playing for a new contract next season. So I expect him to be highly motivated. He's already a motivated player. He plays with his hair on fire on every play, but he's going to be extremely motivated next year to show out. So even if the Chiefs say, well, because if they draft somebody, that's definitely going to be the guy that's going to take the reins for the 2026 season. You know what I'm saying? So I could see them I could see Isaiah Pacheco being like, you know what? I got to show out this year. I got to have a great season. And if I have a great season, even though I'm not with the Chiefs, somebody's going to pay me. So
yeah,
that could be a possibility.
He's not in that situation where he's not going to be not getting playing time. It's like, we know he will. He's not in that situation. It sucked the situation like for Clyde. He just literally just slid down the depth chart, and it just was what it was. But I think Pacheco. He's still got value. He's still young. He's still got plenty of time to be able to showcase and show what he can do and show that he's a valuable asset. So it'll be an interesting watch to see how he progresses throughout this season, and then obviously for the combine, what that looks like. Who'll be backing him up?
Yeah, they're definitely going to be watching for any DBs that they could possibly draft, even not in the first, maybe in the middle rounds. I'm definitely looking for defensive linemen. Like I said, we need a hair pair to Chris Jones, and we just need somebody who could play next to Chris Jones that could help out Chris Jones. They can beat one-on-ones, even because if we don't resign Charles Omenihu, we're going to need a replacement. So,
and we don't know the status of Turk. We don't know that either. So.
Yeah, that's another guy that I would love for the Chiefs to bring back. I think he had a great season last year, and I just think that ever since he's got far removed from that ACL tear, I just think that he's been playing a whole lot better these past two seasons. So Definitely wouldn't be mad, especially if we don't bring Charles Omenihu back. I would love to bring Turk back because I don't think you got to break the bank for Turk Ward. I'm sure you can give him a nice little 1 year, 2 year deal to come back and be a Kansas City Chief. So it'll be interesting to see what they do at the defensive line's position. Like you said before, corner. You never can have too many corners. Tight end is going to be interesting. Because I know Jared Wiley, he's coming off an ACL tear, so I don't know how effective he's going to be coming back from that, and how much they leave him out of that. When he's able to come back, will he start the season on the PUP list? Anything like that. So, and then Noah Gray, he's been kind of slided as the heir apparent to Travis Kelce with the contract that they gave him, the 3-year extension. So. Well, it'd be interesting to see if they use Noah Gray like they used him in the beginning of the season. Will they use him fully more so like that, and he won't disappear in the middle to the end of the season? Like, will they continue to use him going into the playoffs? Or will they draft a guy? You know what I'm saying? Will they finally get somebody who can pose a threat as a receiver? You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to Noah Gray. We all feel like Noah Gray should be used more. But if we can get another guy in there who has a little bit more upside than Noah Gray, then I'm definitely not opposed to that. And this is the draft to do it, because there are some guys in this draft that you can draft that could be that heir apparent to Travis Kelce, or at least be a two-man crew with him and that person and Noah Gray. So,
yeah,
and then it'd be interesting to see on Sunday what offensive line maybe they could be looking at.
I mean, the combine makes a significant difference. How quickly somebody can move up or down. I mean, I don't know if it was more so the combine. I don't recall, at least as far as with the combine. As far as Worthy, I mean, we knew Worthy, his speed, and he just kept sliding down as far as down the draft ladder. So he just, when it happened to be there, that was just the best pick and the best move that was available on the board. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But sometimes you have those where some people they'll move their way up, they'll move their way up the ranks, and then some of them they'll slide down. I mean, it happens, if you sometimes you have a bad day at the combine, or it happens, whatever it is, but you'll find some gems in there. Sometimes you'll change your mind. As long as you don't have anything, that come up, for your collegiate pass or something like that. You pulling the, what was that with the whole bong thing years ago, the Laramie Tunsil thing?
I don't even think that matters anymore. But the one thing I will be looking out for, and if you're a Chiefs fan, you want this, one of these quarterbacks sneaking into the first round. Yeah. Outside of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, you want a Jackson Dart, you want maybe a Will Howard, or any of those guys to sneak in, any of these teams that are quarterback needy that might be like, you know what, we could take him, bring him on us. Even we got to sit him. We need a quarterback now. You know what I'm saying? So anytime you get a quarterback in the first round, that pushes a player down that the Chiefs could possibly get.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some aggression, especially, with the Jets, with them, saying, hey, Rodgers, we're going to let you go. We're going to move on. I mean, they should be up there for a conversation. Are they going to move up and whatnot and stuff? And I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. I mean, I expect a lot more movement as far as in the trade boards, this year. It's in regards to
those first two picks are going to be very interesting. Will the Titans just be like, you know what, we need to get our quarterback of the future, and they draft either or will they trade out? Same thing with Cleveland. I'm hearing Cleveland probably will roll with a more veteran type, maybe a Kirk Cousins, because he's familiar with Stefanski's system. So maybe they trade out of there and get some more picks so they could add more to the team. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they're going to be trading Myles Garrett. So now you got those picks, plus you'll get picks for that 2 pick. So they might be working with a lot of draft picks and draft capital to move around on the board and stuff and get more talent on that team. So it's going to be interesting. Those first 2 picks are going to be very interesting to see what they do with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody, I think is going to be waiting for that first domino to fall as far as with Myles Garrett. I think that's the big domino of them all. Who's going to take him, who's going to pick him up, what is it going to cost? I think, we're probably at large talking couple first round picks, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I'm hearing I'm not too happy with, especially if we got to play them again in the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's no secret. I mean, we figured,
Damn Eagles talk about going to get them. I don't want it.
But at what cost? That's the thing about it. They almost had he almost adapted that Rams mentality too. Like, who cares about them picks? We just gonna get what we can now.
Yeah. Well, the Rams are kind of backed off of that. I think
they did,
because their defense is super young. So now it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with Matthew Stafford, because they're talking about trading him, and now they said they gave him permission to go seek a trade. So that means that their contract talks are like far apart or whatever. But or maybe it's just a tactic from the agent, you know what I'm saying, to try to work the deal out and get it done faster. But it's gonna be interesting to see where some of these quarterbacks go. I think Matthew Stafford is the first domino to drop, and then after that, you'll see where Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, like where these guys are gonna go. Where are they gonna land? To then that'll open up the door on where some of these rookies are gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the quarterback carousel is going to be interesting this offseason. So we'll see where those guys go. And like you said, Myles Garrett is definitely a big domino. I could see Deebo Samuels. He's going to be another domino to where he goes. I wonder if there's a market for Deontay Johnson.
I mean, basically,
because the only thing that he has on his side is youth. He's still fairly young.
I mean, basically, I've been here. He's been burning his own bridge. I mean, players and teams don't want to deal with that. And that's fair.
I don't blame him.
You're gonna keep doing that, then what you need to be in this league for? You can go play for the USFL and CFL, and they have all this other stuff. You're gonna keep doing that. You can be replaced. I mean, these rookies, they are coming up and they showing that they have, if they're given a chance. I mean, it don't even matter the skill position player. Let's just throw out there for what it is. Remigio, he made the most of his opportunity, and I wouldn't be surprised you saw him more. So you definitely saw him get more special teams, to start going to next year. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But
I think he's a solidified starter next year as far as special teams.
Yeah, but players, all they need is one crack, and then the rest is history. That's all it took. I mean, for Brady, all it took was Bledsoe to get hurt, and the rest was history.
True.
So you just got to be smart. Make the most of the opportunity. Just shut up and play ball. Shut up and play ball.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I don't. He's gonna have to. I don't know. He's gonna have to get his stuff together, because his attitude is piss poor, and for him to act the way he acted when he got traded to the Ravens and the Texans, he's having the same issues, and people calming him down on the sideline. Like, bro, you just got there. Like, you want chemistry already? You want me to force feed you the ball already? I don't even have chemistry with you yet. You just got here. I got more chemistry with Nico Collins. I got more chemistry with Dalton Schultz. You know what I'm saying? John Mitchell.
Flowers up in Baltimore. I mean,
Zay. I got more Zay and Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews and Likely. Like, you're gonna be on the low end of the totem pole, player. Like, it is what it is. So,
he was in a crappy situation in Carolina, and I get it, but man, it's like he brought the Blues out, and the crazy part about it was Carolina was started figuring it out like toward the latter part, and the reality of it was, maybe it did take getting benched, as far as with the quarterback, he was able to see things from a different lens, and he looked like he matured in that time, and he made the most of it.
He did.
Got his spot back and did what he needed to do. That could have been an opportunity, for Johnson to perhaps raise his stock or whatever, but he blew it.
He blew it.
You can't be stupid.
So now you got to take another 1 year non-guaranteed deal, maybe an incentive-based deal, just to get your stuff going.
You're gonna be with the Browns.
He might be. I don't know who he's gonna be with. Jets, Browns. I don't know. You better hope like the Buffalo Bills want to pick him up.
Yeah, right. I don't even think Buffalo would even. I mean, Buffalo got. They're still. They're just trying to kick the door in. I don't think they need that distraction. I mean, they got their head in the right position, trying to go after a Hollywood Brown. I mean, that makes a ton of sense. Obviously, you don't want it to happen, but
No, they just paid Khalil Shakir I think it was today. He got a contract extension. So shout out to Khalil Shakir. He deserved
he
that.
earned it.
He
He earned it.
deserved it. Dude is a very good football player. So
There's no denying that. I ain't gonna slide him for that at all.
all right, Mark. Talking about this off season, what are some things that if you were the GM of the Kansas City Chiefs, what would be your off season plan?
For the most part with them, I mean, they gotta get that offensive line solidified more than. I mean, it feels like they're going. It feels like it's the revolving door, but it's tricky because the thing about it with this offseason and whatnot, you got players that want to get paid, and I get it. Your stock goes up when you're winning championships and whatnot. You got to make tough cuts. You got to figure out how to keep some stability for your star player. You got to protect that $500 million asset. That's just what it is. That should be the most important. I mean, we want to have all these different flash things. I mean, obviously, Twitter talk, obviously, they talking about let's get every star out there that's possibly on the thing, but they're not understand one bit about salary cap or where we are on the draft board. So obviously, number one, I mean, you just make sure you solidify that offensive line, build inside out like they've been doing. I mean, it's they found success in that. And as much as you want to address the receivers. I mean, yes, they did say they're looking for receivers, but they still gotta figure out that linebacker position. So I think number one should be the offensive line addressing that. Then I think it would be addressing that linebacker situation, especially a middle linebacker. Are they going to keep Bolton? Are they not? Honestly, I don't think they will. I think they need to go cheaper or more reasonable in that regards. And then that would open up some space and everything to even address your defensive line. I mean, I'm not saying that Bolton can easily be replaced. That's a very tough ask. But the way that Spags and how he's been dialing up this defense is just the mind that he has. I know he's more than capable. I think they'll be fine in that regard. So I think you solidify your offensive line. I think DJ Humphrey keeping Humphreys. I think that they should do that. I want to see what he's got. I mean, I think we kind of got like a false tape because we only really played one game. Let's just call it for what it is.
He was coming off a leg. He was coming off an injury. So
yeah, you solidify that. You keep Humphreys. You replace the middle linebacker. They need to address. Do you keep Turk Wharton? What that looks like. Geez, would I prefer to keep Wharton? Would I prefer to keep Wharton, or do I want to keep Amenahue? I mean, as much as I love Amenahue, I don't know. It just depends on the asking value for him. That's what I think. That's what I think. I mean, is it possible to keep both? Maybe. It depends. And obviously, with the Kelsey, yes, they're going to pay him his worth, but sometimes you can get a restructure as well too. I think with a guy like Kelsey, somebody who's hungry, who wants to win another one, go out if he's going to go out with a bang, then go out the right way. I mean, the dude's going to get more than enough down the road and whatnot anyway. I mean, he's got stuff locked up. They're doing it right. So, O-line, middle linebacker. I think you figure a way to keep Wharton. You get you're gonna be looking in the draft. I think you're definitely looking for DBs. You gotta figure out who your running back is. Free agency. I don't know if there's gonna be anybody. I mean, I don't know who they're gonna go after in free agency. It's gonna be very interesting in that regard because obviously they want to get younger. They want somebody that's versatile that can play in different positions, especially wide receiver. They're always looking for receivers, so they're going to be looking for somebody who can play the outside. They're looking for somebody that can play in the slot. They're looking for all those pieces. They're planning. What's going to look like before. With those early 5-6 games. Is Rashid Rice going? I mean, it might work out where he's not getting suspended. It might not. We don't know. If he doesn't, great. But if you want to pull in another receiver, that's what you want to go for. I mean, but I think the primary thing should be offensive line. You let go of Bolton, you find something, you find some new fresh meat out there. You keep Humphreys out there on the offensive line. Anything key that I'm missing in that regards? Pacheco's a make it or break it, so I'm not really concerned. If we're talking about extensions, I know you had talked about possibly even looking at extending McDuffie in this year.
Mm-hmm.
That is possibly something that looks at depending on the way that they're spending. So that could be a pretty significant question mark that I'm looking at there as well too. So it will be interesting, but I would say just they get that offensive line intact because just looking at that Super Bowl and whatnot. I think they're a team, they want to be explosive, and we kept seeing these one score games, and part of it was trusting. I mean, Veach, as far as with him, it was I wouldn't say it was a call out at all. I think it was a very true observation. I mean, I think I saw it a couple of times. I'm like, why isn't he pulling the trigger? And I think that's more so because of the trust in the offensive line, and the continuity that they had the receivers is inconsistent. If he doesn't have consistency in what the plan was, I mean, he was basically blown up week 3, week 4. Let's call for what it is. And not having your old line, consistently, or your receivers consistently. But if he had to address out what's more important, obviously the trenches are going to be far more important. So we shall see.
Yeah,
I would say we shall see.
Yeah, I agree with you. DJ Humphreys, I would bring him back probably on a 1-year deal just to bring him in. Maybe give him a 2-year deal, and so try at least to solidify for two years. Maybe you go in the draft and you get another rookie to compete, or maybe Kingsley can kind of learn behind him and be that left tackle of the future. So I wouldn't be mad at DJ Humphreys. Maybe if you're really desperate, maybe you bring in old man Tyron Smith. You may bring him in. Because I don't think they're gonna trust in a rookie. They tried it 2 years in a row with Wanye, then they tried it with Kingsley, and it just didn't work out. And even though the pressure of a three-peat is no longer on their backs, they still feel like, this is a championship team. This is a Super Bowl team. We got Patrick Mahomes. We got Chris Jones. We're bringing Travis Kelce back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they're still in a dynasty window.
we got Trent McDuffie. We got guys in this building that we feel like we're still Super Bowl contenders, as they should feel like that.
Yeah.
So I would bring DJ Humphreys back. As far as Nick Bolton goes, I'm on the fence with Nick Bolton because if the number is right, then I'm bringing him back. But I'm not paying him more than 12 a year. 12, 13 a year. I'm not paying him 14, 15 a year. I'm sorry. I love Nick Bolton. We all know. On this show, we praise Nick Bolton.
Yeah.
We're not, you know what I'm saying? We praise Nick Bolton. We love Nick Bolton.
Yes, we do.
But at the end of the day, the truth is there are some limitations to him. And if you're going to be paying a dude that's 15 mil, he's got to have all the attributes as a middle linebacker. So, I would let him go. Now, would they make Drew Tranquil the green dot if he leaves, and then maybe you could sign like a Dre Greenlaw or get a rookie? You know what I'm saying, to play on out. Just to kind of be the backup. Bring in another linebacker that can go. Maybe bring back Willie Gay. Bring back another outside linebacker, or maybe you see if Leo can run the green dot. I don't know. I don't know if he could do that, but that's a lot of responsibility. I know Drew Tranquil was doing that his first year here, and when Nick Bolton had got out, when he was hurt, Drew was running the green dot, and he did really well. I thought he did pretty good.
And then he got hurt one game. I remember that.
Yeah.
But even so, though, I mean, there's two questions. Where do we see Bolton as far as in the ranks of the linebackers? Do we see him as top 5? Do we see him more as top 10?
I think he's because nobody's really looking at middle linebacker. Unless you're just a football.
You're like a Roquan Smith. I mean, you're talking about Roquan. I mean, obviously,
you're talking about Fred Warner. You're talking Roquan Smith, maybe CJ Mosley. Matt Milano, I don't know if you would consider him top 5, but
He's almost like on the, I would say the 10 bubble.
Yeah,
I think
like
he's in there.
I think he's fringe top 5. Like I think he would be like 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think he's really good, but there's just some guys that are just better than him as far as coverage skills go. Roquan Smith, Fred Warner would probably be the creme de la creme when it comes to middle
Right.
linebacker play. And then it's just kind of everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, Zach Bond. I think he's like really good. You know what I'm saying? So
it's just interesting because even so, the other side of it that I'm looking at too. I mean, I think you do look at, as far as like draft, and then obviously you do got pieces with Chanel and whatnot. You can do that too. But also you're looking at some of these veteran pieces. We do hear these stories about some of these veterans. Even like Myles Garrett, for example, he wants to win or play on a contending team. I mean, that's respectable. You get that. At what cost will it be? Will it be at a pay cut? Will it be at? I mean, he's not in that situation because obviously he's in contract. But but some of these other players and what that you're thinking about, you look at even with Khalil Mack, what would he be asking for? And the reason why I would say even entertaining him is what would be the value, and also you have some familiar continuity with him and Tranquil as well.
True.
And also can we say that Khalil Mack has actually had a high I mean, he's had a head coach, and the guy was the previous coach. That was more so his background as far with the defense. But we're talking about Spags. That's a whole different.
The only thing that scares me about Khalil Mack, well, 2 things. Of course, his age. 2 is he's not the traditional defensive end that Spags likes. Spags likes to have his defensive ends be like 6'5", 270, 280, 290. You know what I'm saying?
We still made me wonder why in the world was the purpose of bringing in Uche though. I didn't understand that at all.
And that's my thing. Like you brought it, but it's not even just Josh Uche though. It was Cam Thomas, the kid from Arizona that we traded for before. Remember, people forget about that. We traded for him too, and he was showing some upside as a pass rusher. And Spags never used him. They end up cutting him and letting him go to the Browns. So, but yeah, the Uche thing, I really didn't understand. It seemed like it was a Brett Veach move, and he was like, "Ooh, I like this guy," and Spags was like, "No, I'm not using him. He's not my He's not my prototypical guy that I use off the edge." So, it's gonna be, it's gonna be interesting at the linebacker position, though. What they do, maybe they go with a rookie and bring in a rookie to be the green dot. I don't know. Or maybe they put Drew Tranquil at that spot. Maybe they trust Leo. That's going to be interesting because that's going to affect the defense for real. And then we already talked about Trey Smith. Like I said, they're already talking about bringing back Trey Smith, and they're optimistic that he's going to sign a 5-year deal. So that looks like that's going to happen. It'll be interesting. Do they still extend Joe Tooney? Like I said before, will they bring him back? Will they reward Joe Tooney for being the MVP? He was the MVP of the team this year. So are you going to reward him?
That's a heck of a resume he got too, because he got what, 2, 3, 4 titles?
He got something like 2. That. Then he got 2. He got 2 with
New England, I think. He had 2 with New England. I think he has 4.
Did he got 2 or 3 with us? 2. He got 2.
Yeah.
He got the back-to-back. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Do they reward Joe Tooney? And then Trent McDuffie, do they say this is the season where we be like, all right, let's go ahead and broker a deal with him. Let's try to get him extended. Let's get him now before
he remotely gets entertained.
Well, it gets really good because if this fool has unlocked the interception key, he gets 4 or 5 picks next year. And
I would say that's the only area opportunity where they could be had if he had more interceptions. It took him 3 seasons to get his first couple.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably the only. I mean, I don't want to call it a black eye because really he's still doing what they do. I mean, typically DBs we don't expect them to catch anyway.
No.
he's done everything you could ask for. He's filled in. Everybody was concerned, as far as what that looked like with the Snead transition and stuff like that, which, that's tough, as far as what, how that worked out. But he filled in and he did what he needed to do. It was just more so from 2 and down. Obviously with Watson getting hurt, that was a big thing. But he did everything you could ask for.
True. And then, some of the guys you've already talked about re-signing, maybe they already talked about re-signing Hollywood Brown. We'll see how that looks. Maybe maybe more teams that want to, even if they just want to get him away from the Chiefs, they just like, no, we don't want him to re-sign with the Chiefs. Let's overpay. Let's overpay Hollywood. And then at that point, it'll just be up to Hollywood. Does he want the money or does he want to try to get a championship?
Yeah.
Charles Omenihu, same thing. He's coming off of 2 years where the first year he had the whole suspension because of the domestic violence situation. So he didn't start off the season. He ends up getting hurt in the AFC Championship game. He comes back, week 12, 13.
12, 13, yeah.
And he comes back, and to my surprise, he came back like gangbusters. Like he came back like like I thought it was gonna take him a minute. Now he came in, the game was already wreaking havoc. So how much of a value is that going to be on Charles Omenihu because he didn't start the season off both seasons? Will they be able to get him more of a discounted rate? Because I know he's going to want to try to get paid because this might be his last time to get a big contract. So is he going to try to get paid? And if not, can you sign him to a 2-year deal that's that's pretty reasonable? You know what I'm saying? Maybe make this the third year a third year option year. You know what I'm saying? So it's really a 2-year contract. And then with Turk Wharton, can you bring him? I'm sure. I don't think Turk Wharton's going to be a problem. I don't think he's going to be relatively expensive. As good as he is, I think you can get him at a pretty decent price. So I'm not really worried. I would expect Turk Wharton. I would be surprised if Turk Wharton doesn't come back. Because it's not like he had a Colin Saunders year. Like Colin Saunders, I knew he was going to outprice himself. Like it was going to be over. I thought Turk Wharton had a really good year, but I don't think he had this Colin Saunders year that Colin had. And then it's going to be interesting to see how much they value Justin Reid. Do they bring back Justin Reid? Does Spags have a say in that? Because I know Spags really loves Justin, and Justin is a leader in that secondary too. Do they feel that do they have enough confidence that Jaden Hicks and Shamari Connor and Brian Cooks can take that reign, or he's gonna get cut? Do they bring back a Juan Thornhill? You know what I'm saying? Bring him back. He can play deep safety better than anybody on this team right now, in my opinion. I think most of the guys that are in the safety room are more box safeties.
You still keep an eye on him over in Cleveland, see what he's doing. Unfortunately just on a trash team. Just call for what it is.
He was actually still pretty good with Cleveland. So
yeah.
And then the wide receiver pool. Like, let's say we don't get Hollywood Brown back. Do we get a KJ Osborne, a Darius Slayton, Tutu Atwell, Dami Brown, who had a pretty decent season? Do we get Amari Cooper, maybe? Any of those guys, you know what I'm saying? Do you bring back D-Hop? Do you possibly bring him back? I don't know. So
you just want somebody with like that. You prefer, Worthy's that small slot receiver. Rashee Rice is, that receiver that can do he can do practically any route and whatnot. I would preferably go for like a bigger target, like one of the bigger body type targets. That's something that they really like, especially in the red zone, because the red zone was an issue, and then it seemed like they had figured it out.
So without Amari Cooper,
they would have to go with somebody that's just bigger. I
think Chris Godwin would outprice himself.
Yeah, and he's coming off the injury too.
Yeah, he's coming off an injury, but I still think he's going to get relatively paid. Like I think the Raiders would pay him.
They'll pay anybody. They'll pay the janitor.
I think the Chargers would pay him too. I think the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos. I think the Broncos would pay him too. I think any of those teams would pay him to come over to their team to be their number one wide receiver.
They will be competing though. I mean, and usually there's always that one surprise receiver that we least expect to get moved anyway. So who knows? I mean, as much as going on,
I'm hearing DK.
It could be DK. It could be, the crazy things going on with Devontae Adams, all the stuff that's going on down south with Miami. I mean, I would not be surprised if there is one of those pieces that gets moved.
Tyreek Hill, come back home now. Just play.
I mean, it's one of those three. I would not be surprised if one of those.
Tyreek Hill was on this team with Xavier Worthy, and then when Rashee Rice come back, oh my god, that would be ridiculous.
Reek and Worthy down there somewhere.
Throw it. Throw it up. Mahomes, don't be scared. Just throw it. Somebody catching it.
But and even so, one thing about it though, the Chiefs that we did learn about it, another piece of it that really didn't get talked about is that there are no strangers to reunions, regardless of the circumstance. And and they proved that with Kareem Hunt. And I believe Kareem Hunt made the most of his opportunity. Will he be back? Most likely not. But I mean, that's another area too you could possibly look at at one of these positions. They probably bring somebody back we least expect. But it's just we're so early in the offseason. I don't know what. Yeah, Nick Chubb. I mean, if he's there, don't be stupid.
Anyway,
but that's what they did. But that's what they did 2 years ago on that tail of that back to back because they had McKinnon and Pacheco. They had that both those combinations going at the same time, and that was a big part of the game. On that second of that back to back.
I do want them to draft somebody though. I think this talent pool of running backs is just way too talented. If the Chiefs didn't pick a running back in this draft, I'd be disappointed. I really would. Like, I ain't sitting there saying you gotta get one in the first 2 rounds, but one of them 3rd round picks that you got, whether it be the Tennessee Titan one or the one we got, man, one of those, get a running back. Don't even play with it.
I mean, they have to. Some of these running backs, they've been getting the short end of the stick. They've been trying to prove their value, and I think even the running backs are really showing their value still. You still have to worry about your Derrick Henrys, obviously. What's his name? Saquon, obviously. McCaffrey didn't help himself with that injury. Him being injured and whatnot. But some of these running backs, they still showing, how much of an asset, they are. Even, Eckler, it's crazy. All he had that one key fumble, which was shocking in that title game. I thought that was, but they're still
in that game though.
But they're still valuable though, these running backs, and they gotta figure out how to implement that. It happened on that back to back, and that's just been historically, even with the Chiefs run, they've always had those running backs that have been very instrumental from Williams to McKinnon to Pacheco. That's just the reality of it. They need to address that running back. They cannot go into this postseason running the ball only 6 times. It just can't happen.
Yeah, they need to give them, like we said before, this offense has to get more explosive at the running back position, and we got the wide receivers to be explosive. I think with Worthy, with Rashee Rice, we bring Hollywood Brown back, and hopefully we can, he stays relatively healthy going into the season the way he get hurt.
And even so, explosiveness can look different though. It's like it don't have to be the receiver position. Sometimes you just be the running back. It just might be it just might be it.
That's what I'm saying. Like the running back position definitely has to be. We need some explosion out of that backfield. Some guys, like I said, I want a running back where guys have to game plan for him. He's gonna have to be. He's a threat. He's a threat, and you got to know where he's gonna be at. Not to say that they didn't do that with Pacheco, but I just think that it was more so if we get a guy like any of those Ohio State running backs, you know what I'm saying. The kid from Iowa, the DJ Giddens, like any of those guys, Dylan Sampson, like there's some guys in this draft, like they just go. They just got that breakaway speed. We need a Jamal Charles, man. That's what I'm saying, man. We need Jamal Charles back, man.
They just need that bruiser, and they just need a reason to be threatened. And without having to adjust, with the line, that was a combination thing, having to shuffle the line and then also the running back. It's just something that cannot go into next year. That's got to get improved.
Yeah, this definitely got to be improved. That's just something that they got to look into in this offseason, and it's definitely gonna be an interesting offseason, man. I'm just, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I know we're coming off that horrible loss in the Super Bowl, but now that we're far removed from that, I'm excited for the offseason. I'm excited to see what Brett Veach, what him and his staff is gonna do to
This is like
configure this roster. You know what I'm saying?
But the offense is like Christmas, though. It's like you could be just out one day and about, and then all of a sudden you hear some of the craziest things. You could, like I said, I'm not sure which receiver gonna get traded, but we're gonna see it on the ticker. Either Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. What's the other receiver?
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp isn't there. He's another one, but I would not be surprised if one of them got moved and was just out of the blue. We like, wait, what? We're like, for what? It just, that, I mean, there was the same situation with Aaron Rodgers where he's got moved out of nowhere and whatnot. I mean, you can make the same argument with Tyreek Hill. We had plans like, look, he's staying, and all of a sudden, he's getting traded. And you were initially pissed at him at the moment, but then you like,
everybody was mad. But then it went from mad to then, okay, let's see the compensation.
Exactly. It made a ton of sense. And after they said what it was compensated, because the first thing I heard was Tyreek Hill was traded. I'm like, Veach about to be fired. But then when you saw what the exchange in return, I'm like, okay, this actually made sense. And then I thought about how the season ended, before that, where it became Tyreek dependent. And I'm like, this actually might be good for Mahomes.
Yeah, it was Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill dependent. That's how we lost that game, even though Tyreek Hill probably should have caught that ball, but still, it just seemed like it was like, if Tyreek Hill ain't open, Travis ain't open, and damn, you know what I'm saying? Because nobody else can get separation. For whatever reason, Demarcus Robinson could get separation in LA, but he couldn't do it with the Chiefs.
And it wasn't like it was behavior, nothing too. That's the cool part about it, though. That whole Tyreek thing, it was just business was business.
He had his little off-field issues with his baby mama, and and we see in Miami, he can't stop having kids, but
week one getting arrested and then scored a touchdown. I mean, he got a touchdown, but it was the walk off of the field though that just really hurt him though. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that last game was just nasty work in that press that post conference. Pretty much
that was bad. And then I had to watch it twice because I had to watch it on the other one with mom. I'm like, oh boy.
And it's almost like you could tell that he knew he said something bad, but he was already in too deep. Like it was like he already said what he said. Like, yeah, man, I'm out. He said, "You saying you leaving the team?" Yeah. It was just like,
that was just bad.
Like, that's bad, bro. You walked out on your teammates. They say you leaving because you mad that you didn't get your numbers. You can't fool me, Tyreek Hill. It ain't had nothing to do with y'all losing. It had to do with you didn't get your 1,500 yards and your 10 touchdowns. That's what it was. Because we had 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns, I don't think he would have complained. I think he'd just been like, man, it just wasn't our year. We had a bad year.
I think it was more so the incentive base too. And also, it kind of goes back, why you left there. I mean, yes, you want to get paid and all that, but if he came down to the point, to where he lost a lot of incentive and everything that come with a cost. Everything come with a cost. I mean, you already on a proven championship caliber team, and you wanted to get paid. And I'm not saying he didn't earn it, but sometimes the importance and stuff like that kind of supersedes.
Yeah, and I don't think it was just also the money. I think he felt some type of way that he felt like he wasn't getting as much credit as Travis Kelce. I think that he felt like Pat and Trav had that symmetry that he wanted to have with Patrick, and I think he had it. He just, I just think Travis and Mahomes was just they're just on the whole that they're more similar in things that they like to do, and they're real best friends. And no disrespect to Tyreek Hill, it's just that maybe Patrick just didn't like some of the things you did.
He was still getting his about 8 to 10 targets, and
that's what I'm saying.
He didn't deserve that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, you was getting targets. You was dropping passes too, because it was that one season where he was dropping a whole bunch of passes. He caused about 3 or 4 interceptions. So, but yeah, it's just him and Travis Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes is gonna be in the same list as Jerry Rice and Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin. You know what I'm saying? Brett Favre and, name a receiver. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams. Like, you name the duel that Travis Kelce and Mahomes are going to go down in history because they did it in the regular season and they did it in the playoffs.
Yep.
So they're going to go down as one of the greatest duels that we've ever seen. And it's going to be way more valuable because we've never seen a tight end like Travis Kelce to produce in the way that he produced. You know what I'm saying? We've had all litany of great tight ends. Hell, we had one in Tony Gonzalez, who's still arguably, you can still argue he's the greatest of all times because he still got his longevity. You know what I'm saying?
And he was playing the crappiest of crappiest situations.
Yeah, but even when he was in Atlanta, he was still playing at a high level. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was just chugging along, like, you know what I'm saying, getting a couple catches here and there. No, he was still a highly productive tight end in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that, unfortunately, he just didn't get the championships that Travis did. And he didn't have the quarterback that Travis Kelce had. You know what I'm saying? So, he's not going to get as much credit probably as the Gronks and the Travis Kelce's. And I always put Travis over Gronk because of the health.
Yeah.
Gronk was amazing. He was one of the greatest weapons that we've ever seen because he was 6'7", 260, so nobody could guard him. He was too big. He wasn't the fastest guy, but he was just too big.
He was that guy that the Chiefs couldn't get over. He was scoring every single time. That's just probably what it is.
Every time, but that was on all teams. Like, you had to have a very good corner to guard Gronk. You had to have a big corner to guard him. If you didn't have a big corner that can lock him down, because Ramsey in his prime used to get under Gronk's skin. But outside of that, maybe like a Richard Sherman or a Stephon Gilmore type, those type of guys you had to have to guard Gronk because he was just too big.
Yeah,
he was just too big, and his hands were huge. Like, he catch everything that's thrown in his vicinity. I thought Eric Berry used to do really good against Gronk. It's just that AFC Championship game, Eric Berry is playing on one leg.
Playing one leg and playing for a crappy defensive coordinator.
That thou shalt not be named.
Correct, and still won't be named. He don't deserve nothing. Not a plaque, not a stone, not a rock, not a nothing.
He's Voldemort now. I think that's
the guy that cost him basically the first. Let's just call it for what it is.
He did. He was terrible. But we don't have to worry about that anymore because we got the best in the game. We got the best in the game now. Got the best in the game.
Not having to realize that guy is not your coach. I don't think he never got another coaching gig after that, did he?
He got a consultant job.
Oh,
in Atlanta. Actually, he got a consultant job in Atlanta. He was like a senior defensive line coach or something, like defensive coordinator type coach, or whatever. Same thing they're doing with Matt House that's coming back.
Senior, sit your butt down over at the Sizzler. That's the only thing.
Shout out to Matt House. Shout out to Chris Orr, new coaches on the staff. I know Andy Reid was talking about that. Chris Orr, he's Zach Orr, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. He's his brother. He was an intern, pretty much. He was on the internship last offseason for the Chiefs. So they're bringing him back. He was at Jackson State doing his thing as a D coordinator. So he's coming over as a quality control coach. So hope he can move up in the ranks and never know. He might be a DB coach or a linebacker coach or something in the future. So shout out to that, man.
And just a thought. And we were talking about bringing back people that are familiar, and it's one of those love-hate type things and everything. Don't be surprised if you hear Travaris Ward name come up too. Don't be surprised.
I wouldn't be mad at that
because it's familiarity, and also somebody that understands the system. And also, I just think, and I know he had a really crappy situation, as far as with the whole family situation. I get that.
He played really well. He was really good with the Niners. He was really good. He was probably you could argue Travaris Ward was probably a top 5 corner with the Niners.
I would not be surprised if he came back, if he was one of those players that comes back too. So don't be surprised if you hear his name.
Yeah, but I could see somebody like Detroit throwing him a boatload of money.
I don't know. I got a very eerie feeling about Detroit. I just got
or New England could throw him a boatload of money to bring him over to match him with Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah,
and build a nice little tandem. You got your veteran corner, and then you got Christian Gonzalez, the young stud. So I can see a team with a lot of cap money. The Commanders, I can see the Commanders definitely.
They have to. They just can't get consumed in their first season success as far as pertaining to games. They got to ride that boat. That's the only thing that concerns me about Detroit. I got a bad feeling about this team that they're not going to. I don't think they're going to win their division. I got a feeling because when you have to replace coordinators, it is a bigger deal.
You saw with the Eagles. The year after they went to the Super Bowl, they weren't the same.
I just got a feeling, something about just Detroit. I just think they're gonna have one of those subpar years.
That is the biggest thing that Chiefs Kingdom should be happy about is that at the end of the day, the two coaches that are the main thing, the main sauce, are not going anywhere no time soon.
Ain't nobody looking at them.
Andy Reid, he ain't leaving. Spags ain't going nowhere. Now, and unless we have a top 5 defense next year, let's say we have a top 5 defense next year, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you hear his name. But other than that, I don't think he's going anywhere.
It's funny though, because I don't know what else Spags has to do to be proven. I don't understand that. But
I think you can't say the age because you can't tell me age, but then hire Pete Carroll.
Exactly. I'm like they hired.
And then I'm hearing. Then if it wasn't Pete Carroll, they was talking about Bill Belichick too. So you can't tell me about age when you're hiring these old dudes like that.
Well, Bill Belichick trying to kick it with the young people again.
Going to frat parties and
North Carolina. I'm like, how old is she? Like 10?
No, she's about. I think she's 24.
What's the age?
Because she's going to nursing school out there.
Oh, you paying for it then?
I think he definitely paying for it. She might got a full ride. Paying for it. That was probably in the contract.
All right, big pimping Bill. I see you.
I think that was in the contract. Hey, I want my lady to get a full ride. That shit all 4 years, damn it.
Oh, big pimping Bill. I ain't mad at you. Get your coin and do what you got to do. You right up there with she like a football. He the football version of Hugh Hefner.
Hey man, she love it. I like it, man. Shout out to Bill Belichick.
Hugh Hefner. Bill Hefner.
Bill Hefner. That's funny. That's funny.
But I think the Chiefs will be fine though. I think, like I said, I'm just waiting for some of these dominoes. I just got a feeling though. We're going. It's going to start to. You start to hear the fireworks. You're like Devontae Adams to ... Okay, here we go. I mean, obviously Myles Garrett, but somebody who's on a team that's under contract, who we don't expect. I think that's going to happen. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Devontae. That sounds obvious. Cooper Kupp. I don't want to say obvious. I mean, because we knew he was going to get traded somewhere. What would be the best fit for him?
I think Commanders should think about it.
Commanders should, but also I'm thinking about Pittsburgh as well because
Pittsburgh would be nice.
Pittsburgh needs and I hate to say it. Because I think it's going the wrong way. But I think Aaron Rodgers ends up in Pittsburgh. I really do. I think so.
I have a sleeper team.
Who?
A team that's already really built, relatively built to win. They have their issues they got to work out because of injury purposes and whatnot. But if they don't want to pay this certain quarterback, I can see San Francisco bringing in Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, they've been talking about that for years. That's equivalent to the whole past your prime Pacquiao Mayweather fight move. That's basically what that is. Because
if you don't want to play, if Brock Purdy prices himself out, because I'm not in the wheelhouse of paying Brock Purdy a bunch of money. Like, I think he's good. I don't think he's great. What's up, Joe?
At this point, he's more like the management stage. I don't think he hasn't proven that takeover stage. I mean, granted, he lost a lot of pieces.
He did
last year. I give him that, but to me, he's still at that. I mean, that one phase where I could say where he got out of that management phase was last year's like 2-game run where they had to make crazy comebacks. That's probably the only times I can recall where I said this dude actually took over the game.
But like the game against us, he looked horrible.
Yeah, he looked like an average.
Yeah, he was bad against us. He lost it. Like we won the game, but he was losing in the game too. He was making it easy for us because Mahomes didn't have the greatest game in that game either. He threw some bad picks, but what's her name was very bad. Brock Purdy had like 3 interceptions,
some crazy number like that.
He threw a real bad one in the end zone.
Yeah, he's just a game manager to me. He doesn't say I'm gonna take over the game. Not to me. I just don't.
The thing about Aaron Rodgers is that are you able to deal with the mess that comes with him? Because last year towards the back end of the games, I didn't think he played too bad. Is he what he used to be? Hell no.
No.
But is he solid? Yeah. You got to have great. Everything has to be great around or good around him. His offensive line has to be good. His receivers have to be good. Yeah, his offensive line is terrible.
All he has to, I think, with Aaron Rodgers, if he gets to that place, and this is why I say Pittsburgh makes sense, because Pittsburgh has had the defense. If they can get a decent quarterback where all they got to do is practically manage the game. We said that about I said the same thing about who was it? This past season, I said all they need is just somebody that can just actually no, it was Pittsburgh. I said they have potential to go further, but then they just flatline. They just didn't close out well.
Well,
all they need is just somebody that can just manage.
He's a diva. You don't want to run those routes right. And teams figured them out. They was like, "Oh, we're gonna just protect stack 8 in the box."
That's all they need is somebody that can just manage the game well. That's it. And throw a couple. I mean, I understand the frustration on both sides. I mean, Russell Wilson was able to hit the touch passes that Fields couldn't do, but Fields was able to scramble around the field, which was what Russell didn't want to do anymore. So I'm like, you basically got 2 different ideal quarterbacks. If they were combined to one, they would be fine. But
they'd be one of the better quarterbacks.
and the thing about it is with Pickens, that's going to be the other question mark of it too, because there's been a couple times I'm like, I don't know if he's going to last.
And that's why I wouldn't be opposed to them bringing in a D-Hop. Somebody who can come in there and be that veteran leader for him to kind of tame him. We'll reel him in. Hey, young man, don't do it like that. Do it like this. And one thing he can't do, Pickens can't do with D-Hop is that, oh, well, brother did it. Like, nah, man. I played this game at a very high level. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't be opposed to them bringing in a veteran wide receiver that can speak Pickens' language almost. You know what I'm saying? That could talk to him and know how to get with him and be like, hey, young man, you're too skilled for this. You could be a top 5 wide receiver. Just put it all together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let me take you under my wing. Let me show you some things. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you some stuff that you may not know. You know what I'm saying? Like he needs somebody he respects. I don't even know if he respects Mike Tomlin the way he act.
Tomlin, I don't know.
And Tomlin has this thing where, and I know we look at Tomlin as this like hard nosed, and I'm not saying he's not, but sometimes, but we gotta look at the track record too. Like he let Antonio Brown get away with highway robbery. Like he was allowing some stuff to go on because he was just so great at his position. Big Ben too. Big Ben too. And then there was other people who fell through the cracks. Chase Claypool and even I didn't think it was as bad as everybody's making it seem, but even Juju with the TikTok and all that stuff, like he was allowing that stuff to go on, and it was just, I don't know. I think Tomlin's a very good coach, but I think that a lot of stuff gets overlooked with him, where he just kind of lets a lot of stuff slide because this guy has talent, which a lot of coaches do. You know what I'm saying? They'll give you a longer leash if you're really good at your position. Hell, Tyreek Hill had the longest of leashes. So they let that slide because it was like, man, we can't find that speed. We can't find that speed, dog. I remember we drafted Tyreek Hill. They had their press conference. I ain't never seen nothing like that before, Bart. They jumped out there. Okay, yeah. So Tyreek Hill, yeah. So we did our we did our research on him, and at first everybody was like, "Oh, you bring this loser in here?" And the next thing you know it, oh, that's why. I see it. I see what you saw. Just I remember the Denver game. Tyreek. All them people that was like, I don't want this guy on my team. Now you guys
Right.
He ran that kickoff punt return back. I was like, yeah, maybe it's too bad.
It's just gonna be interesting though. You gotta it's gonna be interesting off season.
Very much so. Very much so. All right, man. I think we covered everything that needs to be covered.
For now, until we hear that. I mean, we probably won't hear those first set of fireworks until like early March. That's around yeah.
The first is this weekend, so possibly next week.
We just observing the combine, who fast, who's slow, who's a fraud, who the real deal. That's all it is. And even so, the combine can be a little deceptive too, because reality is some people just have bad combines, and it happens.
And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, y'all let Luther Burden drop. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't let Luther Burden drop to the Chiefs.
Well, we know the Bills ain't gonna be trading the Chiefs anytime soon.
They might. No, it's never say never, bro. If it happens on draft day, I'm laughing. The Chiefs are trading up with the Buffalo Bills.
Yup, you're screwed.
It's gonna be the player that messes up your playoffs again. John Barron from the Texans. And you're gonna get an interception in the AFC Championship game.
Something Bill like.
Walter Nolan, not Ole Miss. He's gonna sack Josh Allen, make him fumble. That's gonna be funny. All right, man. Let's go ahead and land this thing. If you look down at the bottom, you see the link, emqpodcast.com/locker-room. If you go to that link, you'll see the locker room access of all the podcasts under the Every Morning Quarterback umbrella. They have a 49ers one, they have a Patriots one, they have a Bears one, they have ours, Arrowhead Chief Podcast. Click on the banner, see all of our episodes from the recent to the past one. Also, check out their YouTube channel. They talk about everything NFL league-wide. They talk about college football too, and they give you betting tips for the week. So go ahead and subscribe to their channel. Shout out to those brothers over there. Whatever streaming platform you use to listen to your podcast, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon Music, or iHeartRadio, Arrowhead Chief Podcast is available. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification button. So when we go live on Tuesdays, generally around 7 p.m., you could jump into lives like Joe and Brian usually does and talk about these Chief topics. Give us your opinion, whether you agree with us, disagree with us. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you listen on the playback, we appreciate you. Go ahead and leave a comment. And share with your peoples, man, out there, so we could spread this podcast to other Chiefs Kingdom fans. So, yeah, subscribe to the channel. Whatever social media platform you use, whether it be X, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, Instagram, Twitch, whatever you use to do your social media on, you see that right above Mark, that AH Chief Podcast. You follow us on all of our social media platforms. We will follow you back because we're not Hollywood. What we got, Joe? Are you there, Joe? Joe, you're doing your job. There you go, Joe. We Hollywood. But go ahead and follow us, man. If you have critiques, feedback, if you have a question or topic that's Chiefs related or NFL related, and we like said topic or question, we will bring it up on the show. We'll shout you out on the show because we want to show love to those who show love to us. So go ahead and hit us up via DM, email, or our mentions, and we will get back to you as soon as we see it. All right, Chiefs Kingdom. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. enjoy the combine this week. Maybe you'll see some players that you want the Chiefs to draft. And we possibly be back next week to talk about what we saw from the draft and whatever other news that come up. Maybe Trey Smith will get his extension. Maybe some other players will get some extensions. So, yeah, man. See y'all next Tuesday. We out.